So which sourcing style do you think is the best? Retail arbitrage, where you buy brand new items from retail or discount stores that are highly discounted or maybe on clearance? Or do you think that it's better to buy pre-owned and pick things up at garage sales, estate sales, or thrift stores, those kinds of places? Today we are going to be going over the pros and cons to both. Hi, my name is Heather and I have been reselling online now for about 18 years. Over the course of these 18 years, I have had a lot of opportunities to do both retail arbitrage and to pick up a lot of pre-owned items as well. Both styles can definitely have their perks, but they also have some pretty big drawbacks too. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you what I have learned and what I enjoy and what I dislike about both of these styles. I am a stay-at-home mom and I don't always have a gob of time to devote to prepping and picturing and listing my items, or even for sourcing sometimes. One of my favorite things about retail arbitrage is that I can buy several quantity of one thing at one time. This then allows me to go and to make just one listing, take one group of pictures, and then I can have those several things sell over time. So although buying large quantities of one item can have some perks, it also can have some drawbacks as well. One thing to consider when you are doing retail arbitrage and you are buying multiple items is that sometimes things will not sell the way that you plan for them to sell. So let's say that I go out to the store and I find an amazing pair of shoes and I think, oh my goodness, this is an amazing brand. People are going to love this. I'm getting this at a good price. So I am going to buy 20 pairs of this pair of shoes. And I buy them and let's say, they're $20 a pair. So I've got a substantial amount of money into this one pair of shoes. I go home and I list it and it sits. And it doesn't start to flip like I thought that it would. So, I drop the price and then I drop the price some more. And a few months go by and, this is just sometimes what happens with retail arbitrage. And so you have to be really careful because it can turn out really well for you and you can have some quick sales and make some fast money. It can also really tie up a lot of your money. So if that stuff doesn't sell out fast, you are now sitting on what was, $400 until those shoes start to sell. And in the meantime, you could have spent $400 on something else, but now you've got it all tied in to these 20 items. And so you have to take into account that risk factor. How much risk are you willing to take on how much you think that really is going to turn around and sell? So one of the other perks of multi-quantity listings, this one applies directly to just selling on eBay, is that when you have a multi-quantity listing and some of your items start to sell, it will actually boost it up in the search engine. So often for me, what happens is I will have a listing and I will have, let's say, 20 items in it, and it will sit for a couple of months, and then all of a sudden, one will sell. And then the next day, another one will sell. And then 2 days later, another one will sell because it's gotten pushed up in the algorithm. And so more people are seeing it, more people are buying it because eBay is promoting that listing for you. So that is a huge perk. If your listings are not being seen, that is one way to help get some of your items up high in the search engine, is to do a multi-quantity listing. I am not familiar with all of the platforms, but I do know that Poshmark will let you do multi-quantity. And I do know that Mercari will not let you do multi-quantity. You have to do one item at a time. And of course, on Amazon, you can do multi-quantity there too. If you sell on the other platforms, I'd love if you could drop us a comment and let us know what these other platforms do. Do they let you do multi-quantity, or is it like Mercari where you just have to do one at a time? One of my other favorite things about retail arbitrage is that, for me personally at least, I feel like there is minimal work attached to retail arbitrage. Usually you don't have to clean the items, and I feel like there's less research into how much they're valued at because you usually know the retail price. You still may have to look at comps for what they're actually selling for. But you also have to do less research on the item because it's a current item, and so usually stores are selling it, and so you can look at those listings to find out how to describe the item and what the name of the item is. And so, just things that with pre-owned items can sometimes add a lot of work into your listing. And of course, one of my favorites, this might be one of your favorites too, is that it gives you an opportunity to go out and to go shopping. I don't know about you, but it's always fun to get to go out and to find some good sales and to just be out and to have some fun finding some great stuff. So although I really enjoy retail arbitrage, and to be honest, that is what I have done for a good majority of the time that I have been reselling, there are some cons to it as well. One of these is that sales at retail stores tend to be seasonal. Sometimes you can find good deals at stores like TJMaxx, Ross, Burlington Coat Factory, but for a lot of the bigger stores, Walmart, Target, mall stores, outlet stores, a lot of those stores only discount their items to a deep enough discounted price where you can make money on it at certain times of the year. Usually, as seasons are changing, is the best time to go in and to score those good deals. The hard thing with this is that it's a little bit feast or famine sometimes, because you have to save up your money when the sales are not going on so that when those sales hit, you can quickly go and buy a lot of items all at one time. I have had times where I have done retail arbitrage where I have literally spent thousands of dollars in a matter of 24 hours because the deals are only there for such a small amount of time. Other shoppers come in and they are sourcing from those same racks that you're looking at, so you've got to buy it and you've got to buy it quick. To get the most out of a sale, I will often drive around town and hit up all of the stores for the items that I'm looking for. So let's say that the item that I'm looking for is at the Nike outlet. Then I'm gonna go to all 3 of the Nike outlets in town and buy as much of this item that's on sale as I can. Or let's say that Walmart is having an amazing deal on this clearance item. I'm gonna go and find all the Walmarts that I can so that I can buy this item from multiple stores. Again, so that I can make the most of one listing. So one of the other drawbacks to retail arbitrage that I have found is that when you go to stores and you find these amazing deals, so are other people. And this can make it really hard to turn around and resell things sometimes. I know a lot of people who do a lot of retail arbitrage at Walmart and Target, which are probably the more common stores that you hear about people sourcing at, that everybody else is going and picking up those same things. So let's say Legos go on sale. You've now got, hundreds of thousands of resellers that are flocking to Walmart and stocking up on all of these Lego sets. And so that makes it so that now everybody goes home and they list their Lego sets, and that drops the price because everybody wants their Lego set to sell. And they want it to sell fast. And so what do you do to get it to sell fast? You drop your price. But then somebody else comes along and they're like, oh, it's even cheaper, so I need to drop mine even lower. And it just domino effects and makes it so that nobody's making any money and the market is now flooded. One way to get around this is to hold on to your items for a little bit longer until that kind of eases off and there's not as many flooding the market. Like maybe wait until the next season. So if you got the item after Christmas, let's say, then maybe wait and list it right before Christmas of the next year rather than right when you get home. Another drawback that's in this same kind of ballpark is that while things are on sale and while things are being clearanced out, sometimes you'll have an item and it will be sold at several different stores. So let's say it's being sold at Macy's and it's being sold at JCPenney and it's being sold at what would have been Sears, you know, like these regular department stores. And so let's say JCPenney puts theirs on sale first, and you run in and you buy it, and they've clearanced it out to 80% off. But let's say that in the background, Macy's has held on to theirs for a little bit longer, and they're going to wait, you know, 4 more weeks before they really discount that price. So if you go and you list your item for what you think it should sell for, so let's say you bought it on clearance for $2 and it retails for $40. So you're like, well, you know, I want to get like $30 for this, so I'm going to list it for $30. There are actually people who will come and who will tell you in your email, this has happened to me before several times, you know, oh, I found this for so much cheaper at JCPenney. JCPenney has this for $10 right now, and you're trying to sell it for $30. Like, how dare you? So that's definitely something you want to keep in mind. Usually if it's out and it's clearanced, you want to hold on to it for just a little bit so that you can wait until it has cleared out of the stores, so that you can eliminate some of the possibility of having people that are annoyed emailing you and dropping you comments. Another drawback to doing retail arbitrage is that it can be a little awkward to walk into a store and to buy several of one item. There are actually stores who will not even allow you to buy multiple of one item. I've heard of other resellers who have talked about certain stores where managers have actually come up and said, no, you can only buy one of this item. Or I know, like back in the day, I did a lot of Gymboree, and Gymboree would limit their items to 5 per item. Or the other day I went into the Disney store outlet and I wanted to buy some discounted Crocs, and they were only allowing 2 of any item in the store to be bought at a time. But yeah, store managers don't always look at things as well as people at a garage sale or a thrift store, you know, who are just trying to dump stuff. So for me personally, when I'm doing retail arbitrage, I try not to make it look like I'm hoarding stuff so that I'm going to go take it home and resell it. For me, I will go and I will only buy a certain number of things at each store so that it doesn't look as obvious, because I don't like to draw the negative attention, and I just feel like a lot of managers aren't super crazy about you clearing out their store, even though you would think that they would be happy that you're buying all their stuff. A lot of them I don't think are. Funny story, I have actually bought a lot of baby clothes. I've done a lot of retail arbitrage with baby clothes, and I have had a lot of funny scenarios at baby stores buying stuff. So I've had this happen to me a few times where I've gone in to buy baby clothes, and I'll usually buy 2 or 3 of each size. And there have been times that I have done it while I was pregnant, and I would frequently get the question, oh, are you having twins? And then I'd be like, no. And they're like, oh, well, do you want a gift receipt? And then I'd be like, no. And then they would be like, oh. And then the questions would stop and they'd go back to doing their thing. So yeah, it's just kind of an awkward, funny situation, and not one that I'm super crazy about. And I have found that I really like doing it online when I can, but usually it is really hard to come across stuff that is super discounted online, because the online stores just have such a large audience. And so there's so many people clearing out those clearance items opposed to your local store who has, you know, minimal traffic coming in and out each day. Another drawback to retail arbitrage is that you are usually putting more money on the table. So usually when you're at garage sales or thrift stores, you're paying very small amounts for items. But usually when it comes to retail arbitrage, you have to pay more. So I would say most stores don't discount beyond 80% off of retail price. But you know, if you do the math, if you have a $100 item, you're still talking about putting at least $20 down on it. And it's hard to come across items that are 80% off. So if you are just starting out and you have a little bit of money to work with, then retail arbitrage is probably not the best way to go at the beginning. Which leads to another drawback, and that is that when you are putting more money down on an item, you have a much higher odd of losing money. So let's say that you go out and you buy an outfit that's normally $30 and you pay $9 for it. And then you go and you try to sell it and it just won't sell, it won't sell. You drop the price, and you find that online people only want to pay you $10 for that item that you paid $9 for. You are now going to be losing money on that $9. Whereas if you bought it pre-owned, let's say you picked up that same outfit at a garage sale for 50 cents and you got knocked down to the $10, $8 range, you're still going to be making profit. It's pretty darn hard to lose money on 50 cents. But when you're putting 20, 30, 40, $50 down on an item, it just is a lot more likely that things just might not go your direction and you may have to lose some money on that price. Over the years, there are several times that I have gone negative on items and I have actually lost money and did not make any profit. And I would say that probably all of those were retail arbitrage. So you have to be really careful when you are doing retail arbitrage that you are really doing your research and that you know that there is a high risk involved in doing it. So I feel like there were kind of a lot of cons and drawbacks all of a sudden there for retail arbitrage. And I don't want that to scare you away, guys, because really, I do really enjoy doing retail arbitrage and you can make some really good money doing so. But you know, it's not for everybody and you definitely need to look at how much money you're willing to invest and how long you're willing to hold on to things. You know, if it's something that you want to do and you don't have a lot of storage and you need things to move really fast, then it might be better to go pre-owned instead because you can invest less money and take a little less risk that way. So now let's talk a little bit about buying pre-owned items. So guys, this can be really fun. I know a lot of us really love going to garage sales and estate sales and thrift stores and flea markets, and the list goes on and on. There's so many places that you can find good, cheap stuff that is pre-owned. Which is one of the perks alone right there, is that there are several places for you to go and to pick things up. And where with retail arbitrage, it can be more seasonal. With pre-owned items, you can find things all year long because there's always estate auctions, there's always thrift stores, and there's always consignment stores. So even if garage sales may be out of season and maybe they're not doing as many estate sales, there's still a lot of other places locally that you can go and find really good stuff. Another one of the perks of buying pre-owned items to resell is that you are saving it from going into a landfill. I know a lot of us as resellers really do like this aspect of reselling pre-owned. It is really hard to go into the Goodwill outlet and know that the stuff that is in these bins most likely is going in the trash afterwards. And even though some of it is not like the world's best stuff for reselling, I find that I'm often pulling more stuff out because I'm like, oh, I don't want this to go into the trash, you know, and so I'm saving these items, which, you know, can be an issue because then your death pile grows and grows. But yeah, it's rewarding to know that you're doing a little bit to help keep landfills from overflowing and, you know, just to be doing your part. We've already talked about this perk a little bit with retail arbitrage, but with pre-owned, you can invest less money usually. So if you only have 50 cents, you can start a reselling business. If you only have $1, you can start a reselling business. There are so many people out there on YouTube who have proven this, who have gone and taken $1 and resold that item and resold that item and bought more items and have turned, you know, $1 into $500 within a month, or, you know, whatever it is. And so for a lot of people, that is a really big perk, is that you don't have to have a lot of money up front in order to sell pre-owned. Another perk right now to buying pre-owned is that vintage is hot right now. Everybody wants vintage and people are paying crazy amounts for things that are from the 90s, the 80s, you name it, people want it. And so you can only cater to that market, of course, if you're buying pre-owned. Along with that is another perk If you have something that is really rare, it is going to sell much faster, opposed to retail arbitrage where there might be, hundreds of the same item out there. When you're finding unique pre-owned items, the odds are a lot less of there being so many online. I mean, there's several times, I'm sure you have all learned, that you can go and find something and you can actually not even find it on eBay. And that usually is a really good sign, because it means that if somebody wants it, they've only got you to go to. So now on to the drawbacks. One of the drawbacks for me is that I feel like it takes longer to source when you do pre-owned. So opposed to going in and finding a sale and being able to buy enough inventory to last for the next 3 or 4 months all in one day or one weekend, with pre-owned items, if you go into a thrift store, you can be in there for several hours and walk out with 4 items or 1 item, and it's the same with garage sales. I can go to garage sales and I can drive past 10, 15 garage sales and have absolutely nothing. And I've just wasted, 3 hours of my day and all of the gas driving around. And while this does apply to retail arbitrage, you do have to go out there and you do have to go to different stores. But for me, at least, when I do retail arbitrage, I walk in and I walk straight to the clearance section and I walk back out. So if there's nothing in the clearance section, it's a very minimal amount of time. So one of the biggest drawbacks I feel to doing pre-owned items is that you often have to clean them. Sometimes you can look out and you can buy something and people have kept it in really good shape and it looks perfect. You can picture it and list it. But then other times, you get shoes and you have to do some scrubbing, or you get clothes that need to have something mended on them, or they need to be washed and steamed, and it can just add a lot of time onto that one listing. And for me, that's personally not my favorite. I also feel like there is a lot more risk to have flawed items when you have thrifted and pre-owned items, because it wasn't your own personal item. You don't know its history. You don't know where it's been. And so you may not know that there's a hole in the pocket, or you may not know that when you put your arm in, that the stitching feels all scratchy, or, just things like that you would know if you owned it or you had it brand new. There's also the possibility of missing flaws due to size or color or distressing that may be different than when the item is brand new, but you can't tell because you can't see it up against what it looked like when it was brand new. So you can't tell that it shrank. You can't tell that it used to be a bright red and now it's kind of turned a lighter pink, because you're only seeing it in its lighter pink form. And so there's always a little bit of risk right there, because the person that's buying it may have known what it looked like when it was brand new and may be disappointed when they get it, and they may reflect that in your feedback in a negative way, which of course none of us want. So even though I feel like pre-owned can be a little bit more time consuming and can be a little bit more work sometimes, I do feel like in the end, usually the profits are higher per one item when you do pre-owned. You're usually not going to make near as much on retail arbitrage on just one item as you would on pre-owned. But then again, there is that same perk that we talked about with retail arbitrage, where you can have several in one listing and save time there. And so you can kind of even those two out as far as time is concerned and profits are concerned. So really, when deciding which is the better of the two options, it really comes down to your own personal preference. All of us are coming from different areas, have different experience, have different amounts of money to invest, have different amounts of time. You may have more available to you pre-owned than you do retail arbitrage, or vice versa. So really, you just need to go over the list of the pros and the cons for each and decide what is best for you personally. If there are any other pros or cons that I've missed that are, important to you, be sure to drop it down in the comments below so that other people can all learn from our different experiences. Thanks so much for watching today, guys. I hope that you have learned a thing or two. If you're interested in some of the things that I have picked up when I have done retail arbitrage or when I have bought pre-owned, be sure to check out these haul videos here.